Fine. I'll take care of it. The words reverberated through the Galactic Council chamber like a shockwave. Representatives from every edge of the galaxy sat in stunned silence, some of their numerous eyes blinking in disbelief, others twitching mandibles in astonishment. The council had assembled to address the human dilemma, a conundrum that had long baffled and frankly terrified the galaxy. Humans were strange. They lacked the brute power of the Truic, and they didn't possess the cutting-edge weaponry of the Zarthans. Their spacecraft were serviceable, but far from elite. And yet, somehow, these peculiar beings from a small blue planet not only survived, they excelled in conditions that would devastate any other species. The Council had convened to tackle the escalating tensions on the human frontier, a series of raids and clashes that had gone unresolved for months. The joint forces of the Drax, Zarthans, and Truic empires had been testing, probing, and pressuring human settlements, expecting them to eventually retreat, surrender, or at least enter negotiations. But humans had never surrendered. A tall, slender alien with a semi-transparent gelatinous head, Envoy Fricks of the Unified Alliance, finally broke the silence. "Captain Lyons," he hissed, his whispery voice eerily filling the entire chamber, "your species has consistently declined aid, rejected diplomacy, and refused to adhere to Galactic Council regulations. Our recommendation, a peaceful withdrawal." Captain Elias Lyons stood alone, unarmed in the center of the room. He chuckled, a sound that unsettled many. Human laughter was a rare and unnerving experience for the Council. With hands folded behind his back, his posture was casual but unwavering. "Call it whatever you like," Lyons said calmly. "But where I'm from, if someone crosses our lines, we don't talk. We don't wait for permission, we act." His tone hardened. "So let me make this clear. We're done negotiating. You think we're weak? Fine. I'll show you what weak really looks like." Without waiting for a reply, Lyons turned sharply and exited the chamber, leaving an eerie silence in his wake. Shortly after, the humans cut all communication with the Council. One last transmission was received across enemy systems. Stand down or face the consequences. It was, of course, ignored. In the following weeks, the galaxy braced for what most assumed would be a short-lived skirmish, one easily extinguished by the combined might of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. After all, humans were outmatched, outnumbered, and strategically exposed. But what began as a confident incursion into human space rapidly devolved into a catastrophe. At first, it was subtle. Dreek scout ships patrolling the fringes of human space vanished. The Drac Command initially blamed technical glitches or minor sabotage. Then more vessels went missing, and every effort to recover or locate them ended in failure. Next came the Zarthans. Their fleets, renowned for precision and advanced technology, were stunned when their weapons began to malfunction, as if unseen forces were sabotaging them from within. Ships attempting combat were hit by massive EMP blasts, neutralizing even their most elite destroyers. The Truic, dismissive of clever strategies and reliant on brute force, deployed wave after wave of soldiers, certain that sheer numbers would overwhelm human defenses. But for every Truic platoon that landed, there seemed to be a human sniper, or worse, a hidden commando, waiting in ambush. They emerged from shadows like phantoms, striking with a baffling combination of tech and sheer boldness. The humans adapted faster than any AI algorithm could keep pace with, constantly outmaneuvering their opponents. Where the Zarthans used rigid formations, humans fought with guerrilla tactics and ambushes in terrain no one expected. When the Drex attempted to blockade human sectors, humans found weak spots in their lines and delivered precise strikes, crippling command ships and cutting off supplies. In his command tent, Commander Rockvac, a Truic war veteran with over 100 campaigns under his belt, paced angrily, slamming a metal fist against a holographic map. "How are they doing this?" he growled, his voice echoing. The officers surrounding him exchanged anxious glances. They weren't used to seeing their commander shaken. They had launched the offensive expecting to crush humanity in weeks. A younger officer finally spoke, eyes downcast. "They're using psychological tactics, sir. Traps. Some of our men return shaken. We don't know what they're experiencing out there." Rockvac snarled. "They're just humans. We have triple their firepower, and still they rip through our lines. Explain that to me." Silence. No one had an answer. No one could comprehend how these fragile, under-equipped humans, pushed to the brink, kept retaliating, each time with more ferocity, more unpredictability than before. The limited intel suggested one unsettling truth: humans thrived where others would break. Scarce supplies, hostile terrain, overwhelming odds. Conditions that should have spelled defeat were, for them, fuel. None of it appeared to matter to them. The situation continued to deteriorate, and the Galactic Council, observing from a distance, scrambled to comprehend the influx of reports. Human strike teams are adjusting to our strategies faster than we had projected, a frustrated Zeron commander reported, his compound eyes darting anxiously as he addressed the council. Envoy Frix, ever the realist, rubbed his gelatinous scalp with a translucent limb. "Then modify your strategies," he replied sharply. "That's just it," the Zarthan snapped. "They don't engage like we do. Their approach is chaotic, erratic, yet disturbingly efficient. Our predictive AI can't determine their next actions." Envoy Frix sighed, trying to piece together the rapidly changing circumstances. Around him, council members exchanged uneasy glances. The original plan had been straightforward: confront the humans, force them into retreat, and restore established borders. But the humans had dismissed every diplomatic effort, sidestepped every ambush, and now, unbelievably, they were advancing into central territories. Meanwhile, across the human front lines, word spread like wildfire. This wasn't merely a battle, it was a message, a warning. Captain Lyon's words had taken on a life of their own, repeated in hushed tones and encrypted transmissions. "Fine, I'll handle it." It had evolved into more than a defiant phrase. It was a creed, a rallying cry. For the humans, this wasn't simply about defending territory. It was about dignity. Back on Earth, tacticians watched the chaos unfold with quiet satisfaction, directing countermoves that left alien forces bewildered. On the battlefield, every human soldier understood there was no going back. They fought with fierce determination, sharpened by the knowledge that every eye in the galaxy was watching. In desperation, the Galactic Council deployed additional fleets, even hiring mercenaries, a measure previously unthinkable. But with every new wave of reinforcements, the reports grew darker. Humans weren't just resisting, they were evolving. Their battlefield strategies shifted fluidly, as effortlessly as the wind changes direction. Counselor Darrow, a veteran Drex strategist, sat in the war room, his face strained as he studied the once dominant holographic map, now littered with ominous red symbols marking lost battles. "We're facing a true threat," he murmured, voice low yet heavy with disbelief. "They're not retreating, they're advancing." Across from him, Admiral Glix of the Zarthans blinked his multifaceted eyes in frustration. Their strength lies neither in numbers nor in weaponry. Their advantage is their unpredictability. It contradicts everything our simulations forecast. A Drex officer cleared his throat nervously. "Sir, their ground troops show no signs of fatigue. In fact, we've detected improved performance. They don't just engage, they evaluate. They adapt their tactics mid-battle as if..." He stopped, unwilling to finish his sentence. "As if they're enjoying it," Glix concluded grimly. His tone carried the weight of a sobering realization. Every species we've ever fought had a breaking point. But humans, they seem to crave this, as though they've found a way to weaponize the chaos. Unbeknownst to the Council, humanity's resistance wasn't rooted solely in military prowess. Back on Earth, leaders had assembled some of the brightest minds: elite military tacticians, experimental psychologists, and behavioral analysts, working in tandem to design strategies that exploited alien weaknesses in unconventional ways. Entire teams had studied recordings of alien communication and psychology, identifying habits and reflexes that could be turned against them. Human soldiers on the ground weren't merely waging war, they were executing a style of conflict the galaxy had never seen before. It was psychological, ruthless, and above all, impossible to anticipate. Alien commanders soon found their supply lines severed in unexpected locations. Ambushes were sprung in areas long considered safe, and any effort to counterattack was swiftly met with a brand new tactic. The enemy's forces were stretched thin, lured into traps they couldn't predict. In the field, Captain Lyons led a compact reconnaissance unit deep into Truic territory. Under the cloak of darkness, they moved silently. Just 12 of them, a fraction of the garrison they were infiltrating. But they held one critical advantage. They knew exactly where their opponents were blind. and they exploited those blind spots without hesitation. Through a secure communication line, Lyons briefed his squad. Their voices remained calm, unwavering. "On my signal," Lyons whispered. Flanking soldiers responded instantly. They advanced with surgical precision, slicing through the Truic encampment like phantoms, neutralizing sentries and deploying jamming devices to sever communication lines once combat began. Secure Point C. We're detecting additional Drex reinforcements on the move. They're linking up with the Truic, might be prepping a pincer maneuver. Lyons smirked. "Excellent. Let them think we're trapped. They're about to discover why humans play chess, not checkers." The ambush was perfectly timed. Within moments, the alien forces surged into the clearing, oblivious to the hidden mines just beyond their view. Explosions ripped through the air. Communications went dark. In the confusion, Lyons and his unit eliminated the disoriented enemies one after another, scattering their ranks and dismantling their formation. The aftermath was utter ruin. Distress signals flooded into the Galactic Council, each more dire than the last. Footage showed Truic commanders blundering into their own ambushes. Zarthan pilots shot down in what was believed to be secure airspace. The humans weren't falling back. They were playing with their opponents, shattering every known principle of warfare. At Galactic Council headquarters, the leaders reconvened. Each species had sent its brightest minds. Envoy Frix stood among them, his gelatinous form trembling with exasperation. Counselor Darrow, usually stoic, now wore a rare expression of unease. What are they doing?" Frix finally asked, voice unsteady. "Are they toying with us?" "Playing?" Darrow echoed with scorn. "Maybe to them it is a game, but for us it's something far more terrifying. If we can't halt their advance, this won't be defeat, it'll be annihilation. They're dismantling us, piece by piece." Then a grim figure stepped forward. Counselor Zura, one of the few with direct battlefield experience, spoke, his voice gravely. "Humans don't conquer through sheer force. They win with ideas, with relentless, maddening innovation that forces us to respond rather than attack. This isn't war as we know it." He struggled to describe what they were facing, until the word finally escaped his lips like a curse. "It's an invasion of the mind." Silence overtook the chamber. The realization hit them hard. Humanity wasn't just breaking bodies, they were unraveling psyches. And they showed no signs of stopping. Meanwhile, on the front lines, new orders arrived. Now that human forces had breached alien strongholds, Earth's military command issued a chilling directive. No retreat, no surrender, only total disruption. Their mission was no longer about defending their borders. It was about shattering the enemy, fracturing supply chains, scattering forces, and leaving behind only chaos and psychological wreckage. Every skirmish became a message, one that warned the entire galaxy of the cost of invading Earth. Humans wielded unpredictability like a weapon, never striking the same way twice, never letting the enemy rest. In alien camps, one moment would bring the roar of engines and the tremble of tanks. The next, total silence. A maddening quiet that drove enemies to paranoia. Across war-torn worlds, humanity launched psychological warfare tactics alien civilizations weren't prepared for. Strange lights flickered across night skies. Loudspeakers echoed misleading commands in broken alien dialects. Lifelike dummies posed as soldiers, drawing fire and sowing doubt. Nobody could distinguish illusion from reality. The aliens were ensnared within their own fear, and morale collapsed faster than Earth's commanders had anticipated. Entire divisions surrendered without a fight, begging to be spared whatever terror came next. Word spread quickly. Armies once steeped in honor and valor dropped their weapons and fled. Equipment abandoned, bases deserted. They weren't just losing, they were breaking. The message was undeniable. Humans weren't merely defending their homeworld. They were proving why Earth was labeled a death world. What was once thought a mere curiosity had now become the Council's waking nightmare. Back in the chambers of power, Counselor Darrow, out of options, proposed another treaty, this time favoring human terms, a desperate appeal for peace. But his plea was met with silence. Envoy Frix looked on, wordless, as the shadow of human dominance grew ever darker. Frix's gelatinous form trembled. "If we yield now," he murmured, barely audible, "what future remains for the galaxy? They'll see it as frailty. They'll know we're divided. The doors to the council chamber slid open with a hiss, and a young Drex officer stepped inside, visibly shaking, barely able to conceal the panic in his movements. He handed Counselor Darrow a datapad containing the most recent battlefield update. Darrow read it in silence, his expression a mixture of fury and sickening despair. He glanced at Fricks, then down at the report once more. When he finally spoke, his tone was hollow. "They're not after our surrender, Fricks. They don't even want our lands. They're aiming for something far more chilling." "What?" Fricks asked, voice trembling. Darrow raised his eyes, haunted. "They want us to remember, to never forget what happens when someone dares to defy a human. And they've made it clear," he added. "They'll see it through." Deep within the Galactic Council's central command, Counselor Darrow and Envoy Fricks sat in a grim, unbroken silence, reviewing the latest war data. What was once expected to be a swift and decisive campaign had turned into an unrelenting nightmare. Humanity's approach to warfare was alien, erratic, merciless, and psychologically overwhelming. Species once known for discipline and meticulous order were unraveling under the mounting pressure. Whispers of phantom ships and unseen operatives began to circulate, feeding widespread paranoia. Captain Lyons, the face of Earth's resistance, had become a living embodiment of terror. His words still echoed in the minds of the Council. "Fine, I'll take care of it." And he had. Humanity was pushing forward, and even the most formidable empires were collapsing in their wake. Commanders of alien fleets could no longer sleep, plagued by visions of ambushes and psychological warfare that shattered their forces before a single shot was fired. In a last effort to regain control, Counselor Darrow convened a full council meeting. Together, they reviewed footage of human raids on critical alien zones, each strike more catastrophic than the last. They had deployed every tactic, every counter-strategy they had, yet the humans evolved with alarming speed, adapting faster than any fleet could counter. Darrow turned to Fricks, his features tense with dread. "They're not just dismantling our defenses," he muttered, eyes fixed on a hollow map showing yet another decimated fleet. "They're dismantling us." Almost on cue, a transmission sparked to life. Captain Lyons appeared on screen, calm, composed, and unshaken. His voice sliced through the silence like steel. "To the Galactic Council, we're done talking. Withdraw all forces from human space immediately, or face the consequences." He paused, letting the tension settle. "This isn't a negotiation. It's your final warning." The Council exchanged uneasy, desperate glances. Counselor Zrock, a veteran of countless ground campaigns, broke the silence. "If we persist, we're finished. They aren't fighting for land. They're fighting with conviction. This isn't just war. It's a statement." Yet as Lyon's ultimatum faded from view, the chamber erupted into argument. Some counselors, too proud or too concerned for their reputations, advocated for a final stand, insisting that the combined strength of the galaxy would eventually overwhelm the humans. Others, visibly shaken by the evidence, pushed for a full retreat. The council fractured. Each member was forced to confront the true magnitude of what they had unleashed. Within days, orders were dispatched across alien armadas, withdraw from human-controlled sectors. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Council had conceded defeat. Back on Earth, news of the enemy's retreat spread swiftly. But this wasn't just a military triumph. It was a metamorphosis. Humanity had proven more than its ability to endure. It had earned the galaxy's respect. In every city, a renewed sense of pride flourished. Borders were reinforced. Defenses modernized. The message etched into every wall was undeniable. Earth would never be underestimated again. They had faced the galaxy's wrath, and through sheer willpower, tenacity, and ingenuity, they had delivered a message that echoed across the stars. Humanity was not a race of conquerors, not invaders, but survivors. And from that moment on, they would defend their homeworld and their future with a fire no other species could rival. This wasn't the end. For humanity, it was only the beginning. A promise to face whatever lay beyond the stars with a spirit no empire could break.